This is GNN.
The trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine broke the record for the most viewed movie trailer. It got over 365 million hits in its first 24 hours. I feel like that movie's gonna do pretty good.
I think it might. I told you who's worth it. In other Marvel news, the new Fantastic Four cast finally got announced. Pedro Pascal is Reed Richards, Vanessa Kirby is Sue Storm, Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, and Evan Moss Backrack as Ben Grimm for about 5 minutes until he becomes the voice of a CGI orange mess they'll tell us is the Thing. The film is releasing on July 25th of 2025.
Really? Not in the fourth month of April? Not July 24th? Not 2024? You're messing up, Disney.
Yeah, dropping a ball.
The Joker 2 trailer was supposedly dropping for Valentine's Day. Spoilers, it didn't! But Joker 2 is coming out October 4th, so probably any day now.
Don't get me started on the epically horrendous Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. I get it. Some people want to say Joker was some wonderfully poetic look at mental illness. I'm not buying it. He's bullied until he goes postal. Joaquin's Joker has no animal magnetism. He's not charismatic, nor is he borderline Machiavellian-esquely manipulative. He's no mastermind, or he would have figured out a different route home after work where he wasn't beaten up. He's just some schmuck who gets the crap trounced out of him, and then blam! He kills somebody on live TV. How the hell did they greenlight a second movie? How are they going to handle his and Harley's toxic relationship? He's constantly mentally abusive, and the cartoons even strongly hinted he was physically violent with her, too. And it's supposed to be a musical? Just because Lady Gaga's in it doesn't mean she's supposed to burst out into song. The only way I see it working as a musical is if they give it the singing detective treatment.
FYI, listeners, in 2003, Keith Gordon directed The Singing Detective. It starred Robert Downey Jr. as Philip Marlowe, who's been hospitalized due to severe arthritis. The narrative unfolds in parallel worlds where the reality of his hospital stay, memories from his childhood, and guilt over past incidents blur into hallucinations, and his character, the singing detective, tries to help him sort it all out.
You get musical numbers with Selma Hayek, whom I adore, and Mel Gibson pre-Blacklist. One of the nicest things about the film is that Robert Downey Jr. really is a musician and actually does his own singing. So the takeaway here, folks, is why can't we get Iron Man the musical instead of insisting Lady Gaga do all the heavy lifting, people?
Tony Stark built this in a cave with a bunch of scraps. I'd watch that.
Part of the Darkhold Diaries is still happening. I'm assuming it'll be for Disney+. It's their first series to feature an MCU character that doesn't have their own comic book.
It's set after the events of WandaVision, starring Catherine Hahn of Transparent and Central Park. We follow her reformed character Agatha's quest in Westview as she gathers some unusual allies and tries to regain her powers. Emma Caulfield Ford of Buffy the Vampire Slayer will reprise her role as Dottie, joined by Miles Gutierrez Riley of The Wilds and the upcoming film Smile 2, and Patty Lupone from the Steven Universe franchise, Life Goes On, Penny Dreadful City of Angels, and American Horror Story Season 12 Delicate. Fall Guy released a minute-long trailer at the Super Bowl with Ryan Mother Effin Gosling and Emily Mother Effin Blunt of Looper and Animal Crackers as Jody. Ryan Gosling is going to be playing Colt Seavers in The Fall Guy. It's based on the 112-episode TV series from the 80s created by Gary A. Larson. It originally starred Lee Majors from Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Tim Miller's directed a live-action Borderlands movie featuring Cate Blanchett as Lilith and Jack Black as Claptrap. It's based on Matthew Armstrong's 2009 Borderlands video game trilogy by Gearbox Software, Janimation, and Plastic Wax Studios. On Netflix, we can look forward to Ark, the animated series. It's a prequel to Studio Wildcard's 2015 action-adventure survival video game, Ark Survival Evolved. No matter where you throw ink, you're going to hit a major A-list voice star.
Gary Dauberman directed a remake of Salem's Lot that we may never get to see. It was supposed to come out in 2022, then April 2023, and now the release date's unknown, but they just officially wrote off Coyote vs. Acme, so it's not looking good. Lewis Pullman of Lessons in Chemistry plays journalist Ben Mears, and William Sadler of Wonder Falls is in the movie too. Please tell Warner Brothers you want to see this movie.
We're looking forward to FX's new 10-episode remake of Shogun. It's based on the 1975 book by James Clavell. Yoshi Toranaga is played by Hiroyuki Sanada, who's also in Omioji, The Yin Yang Master, Ringu, and Westworld, and Anna Sawai from Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Mark your calendars for March 1st. Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2 will be in theaters, featuring Zendaya of Casey Undercover and Euphoria, and Timothée Chalamet of Wonka, and the voice work of Paul Atreides in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. The film is based on the 1965 book Dune series by Frank Herbert. Part 2 will delve deeper into Paul's relationship with the Freemen and their crusade against their oppressors, the Harkonnens, who murdered his family and destroyed their planet, and how Chani fits into his visions of the future and the fate of the universe.
You know where else we could potentially see more Ryan Reynolds?
Where?
In an R-rated, Venom-focused Spider-Man animated movie. Sony's apparently working on that to come out after the Spider-Verse movies finish, which makes sense. They have to put out a Spider-Man movie every few years to hold on to those movie rights, and doing an R-rated movie seems like the way to go. It'd be something we haven't seen with Spider-Man before. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I don't know who would be playing Spider-Man. Is it still going to be Morales, or will it be one of the others?
We don't know. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Because I really don't want to see Miles Morales as an R-rated Spider-Man. I think that would just be mean.
I say they go brand new with it at that point. You're not topping the Spider-Verse movies. You got to just recast. Unless you
Exactly.
can, unless you finally get Tom Holland to play in the Sonyverse, but I don't think that's happening either.
Probably not. What else is happening?
Well, we got to talk about the sad news. Rest in peace to actor Carl Weathers. A lot of movie fans will remember him from the Rocky franchise, but sci-fi fans will remember him from the original Predator and The Mandalorian. Comedy fans might know him from Happy Gilmore. And I personally would like to shout him out for his work in made-for-TV action film Assault on Devil's Island. That movie was The Expendables before The Expendables. You got Carl Weathers, Hulk Hogan, Martin Kove, and a bunch of others playing a team of gymnasts that have to stop a bad guy. He was such an eclectic actor, and it sucks we won't get more of him now.
Yeah. I loved him in The Mandalorian. It was so fantastic seeing him come back again. Not that he left for anywhere, but they used him really well. The Sonic the Hedgehog 3 teaser trailer is out. Jim Carrey's back as a fully evolved Eggman. This is his first time in a franchise doing a third movie. It's supposed to be out sometime this December.
Sam Rockwell will return as Justin Hammer in a live-action Iron Man Armor Wars movie due out in 2026. In the comic, Iron Man's armor and designs are stolen and sold to villains across the world. And if you're a Robert Downey Jr. fan, don't get excited. Iron Man's dead in the comic version too.
Yeah.
The movie will focus on Rhodey's character.
Well, I like Rhodey, but he's no Robert Downey Jr.
True dat. 70s cartoon Space Battleship Yamato, which Americans might know better by its English dub name, Star Blazers, is getting a remake as Space Battleship Yamato 2199.
Do you know when it's going to come out?
No,
Oh,
that's all we know for now.
It will be released sometime.
Well, I mean, 2199, I'd say at the latest. That's what my inside sources are telling me.
I think you're a psychic, Donnie.
I
Megamind
knew
2.
you were going to say that.
Megamind 2 and a TV series is coming to Peacock, although it won't have Tina Fey or Will Ferrell.
Then it won't have my viewership numbers, thank you.
Aww. Well, you might hate watch it, or maybe even spite watch it.
Speaking of things I hate, Disney is collaborating with Fortnite. But this isn't your normal collaboration where you get to play as a reskinned Disney character. This is a whole immersive thing. You can play, watch Disney Plus content, shop, and even create your own content. It was part of a $1.5 billion deal, which gives Disney a minority stake in the company that owns Fortnite. So they really want to make this worth money. They released a map for it, and it looks like you can go into different places. It seems kind of choose your own adventure. They had the Disney Cruise Line in there, Stark Towers, a ship from Star Wars, etc. And I assume you just go in there and then it's something happens and you have to help the heroes or whatever.
It kind of sounds like they're bringing a Kingdom Hearts vibe to Fortnite. Because in Kingdom Hearts, you could go to the different places, like, Pirates of the Caribbean. They had that spot where you're on the water, or they had a part where the Lion King, or like the Little Mermaid, blah, blah, blah.
Some are saying that it's going to be like the Oasis from Ready Player One. They're saying that we're there now. And that's very exciting and scary to think about.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know that I'm really fond of the create your own content part because it sounds like they're being lazy. And because you put it on their site, it's all, automatically theirs and you don't get rights to something you created.
Yeah, here's my question. Disney usually does not allow crossovers other than at the D23 convention. They very rarely cross over like Marvel and Disney and who. Can I do that as part of the game? Can I make Captain America hang out with Donald Duck? Because if I can, that makes it a little more worth it. If I can't, that's kind of lame.
You want to be the, Simba and you want to be on a Star Wars, ship or something?
Something like that, something cool, yeah. One thing that disappoints me though, Fortnite has been killing it with using horror skins lately, and now that Disney is involved, I guess they're probably going to stop doing that. And I definitely can't make like Michael Myers go stab Mickey or anything, so that's going to suck.
But why would he need to stab Mickey? What did Mickey ever do to him?
Who knows why Mad Men do what they do?
Oh, okay. Whatever. What's next in news?
John Murphy from the Suicide Squad and Guardians 3 is scoring Superman Legacy. This news follows the casting announcement of House of the Dragon's Millie Alcock as the next Supergirl. She'll appear in next year's Superman Legacy with her own spin off movie to follow based off Tom King's Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comic. The non spoiler synopsis of the comic, for anyone who cares to know, is that an aimless Kara Zor-El befriends an alien girl and helps her try to take vengeance on the villains that destroyed her world. By the way, her cousin Superman's birthday is coming on February 29th. Mark your calendars, it only comes once every 4 years.
You just want another reason to make a cake.
You know me very well.
Grimsbird is the latest show in Fox's adult animation lineup. Show producer John Hamm of Fargo and the unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt lends his voice talent along with Rachel Dratch of 30 Rock and Harley Quinn, as well as Alan Tudyk of Suburgatory and Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. The first season is only 3 episodes, but it's been renewed already for a second season.
For fans that missed WWE Network or soon will after the Netflix deal kicks in, you can get your fix with TNA Plus. The new streaming service features most of TNA's archive, new Impact episodes uploaded 20 minutes after their East Coast TV airings, the original broadcast versions of the 2004 and 2005 pay-per-views, including the unedited 2005 Lockdown, and TNA said other original content is still to come, including wrestler created series and the chance to interact with TNA stars, whatever that means.
TNA's special attraction membership is $9.99 American a month or $95.99 American a year. It has a 90-day wait for their biggest 4 pay-per-views. The World Championship membership is $219.99 a year. It includes everything in the special attraction plan plus instant access to TNA's biggest 4 pay-per-views.
WWE 2K24 is bringing back guest referee mode and is finally introducing casket and ambulance matches. The standard edition includes the base game and the Nightmare Family Pack. The deluxe edition includes the base game and a season pass. And the 40 Years of WrestleMania edition promises exclusive to be determined content. Each version of the game includes its own cover art. Game of Thrones prequel series Aegon's Conquest is coming in 2027 with writer Matt Tomlin alongside George R.R. Martin. Tomlin previously wrote The Batman, which I loved, and The Batman 2, whose amount of love is to be determined. Aegon's Conquest took place during the Fire and Blood companion Game of Thrones book, if anyone wants to read it before the new series drops.
Which they'll probably change a bunch of. In Doctor Who news, it seems Ruby Sunday will only be with us for one season, but not 2025's Christmas special. So don't get attached to Ncuti Gatwa's companion Millie Gibson.
Netflix is getting Hannah McPherson's new movie Time Cut, with Michael Shanks of Altered Carbon and the Stargate franchise, Madison Bailey of Outer Banks and Black Lightning, and Megan Best of The Watchful Eye. Described as Back to the Future meets Scream, a teen girl time travels back to the 2000s to stop a killer from murdering her sister.
That sounds a lot like that Ninotchka Hans movie, Totally Killer, that came out last year. That one with Karen Shipka of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina and the Twister sequel, Twisters. But in Totally Killer, the girl was accidentally sent back in time and wants to save her mother from being killed. Olivia Colt of Cloak and Dagger and Charlie Gillespie of Julie and the Phantoms are in it too.
Speaking of time travel, Netflix is also getting an 8-episode Terminator anime series. A female soldier from the future arrives in 1997 to protect scientist Malcolm Lee, who's launching a new AI system designed to compete with Skynet's impending attack on humanity.
Bum, bum, bum.
Malcolm wrestles with the moral complexities of his creation, as an unrelenting assailant from the future will forever change the lives of his 3 children. Marvel announced that you can soon get R-rated versions of some of their comic books, starting with the Blood Hunt event where vampires invade the Marvel Universe. Blade makes an appearance in that one. They promise an unspecified number of extra pages and incredible art, too explicit for the other versions of the comic.
I think Wesley Snipes never gets enough props for his portrayal of Blade. I like the Blade film franchise personally. I know fanboys will be hoping it's going to be pornorific, but we all know it'll end up being 3 pages of lopped off limbs soaring left and right, with buckets of blood gushing down a whole page worth of panels. IDW has renewed its licensing deal with Paramount in time for its Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 40th anniversary. In June, IDW is relaunching its popular series with a one-shot 10-page prelude story, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Alpha Number 1.
Jason Aaron's, who worked on Thor and Avengers, is also doing a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. That should come out in July of 2024. The series is a relaunch, not a reboot, of IDW's long-running series. It's supposed to serve as a non-intimidating fresh start for fans new to the Turtles. Each one of the initial 4 issues will tell the story of a specific turtle and will feature its own artist. I thought that was really cool that each issue gets its own artist. That's a great way to employ multiple artists at once, you know?
Exactly, everybody gets a shot.
Yeah. Each cover has a bold monochromatic portrait of a turtle in action using its signature martial arts weapon with a splash of color behind them. The comic will commit to one artist for the rest of its run.
The first issue is about Raphael, and the artist is Joel Jones. The second issue is about Michelangelo, and the artist, funnily enough, is Raphael Albuquerque. Is it just me, or are you disappointed that Albuquerque didn't get to be Raphael's cover artist too? I feel like it was a missed opportunity.
The third issue is Leonardo, and the artist is Cliff Chang. The fourth issue is Donatello, and the artist is Chris Burnham, or Burnham, if you want to say it the not funny way.
Betty Alvarez's Alien Romulus, starring Isabel Merced, Kaylee Spaney, and Archie Renault, is dropping on August 16th.
Instead of on Alien Day on April 26th, thank you.
It's set in between Alien and James Cameron's Aliens. The film will be about us bringing the fight to the xenomorph planet, and then it drools acid like a space St. Bernard and bursts out of everyone's chest.
You're just guessing, aren't you?
Not there's an educated guess, Donnie.
They also announced 2 new Predator movies, Prey 2 and Badlands. Badlands is supposed to be set in the future, but it's unclear if the future means not the past like Prey was, or the future as in it's the year 4000 and the Predators are fighting AI predators.
Interesting concept. I don't know. We'll find out, though. Well, it's not alien related, but if it makes you feel better, the Knuckles TV series will drop on April 26th. All 6 episodes are even coming out all at once, and it has Christopher Lloyd in the cast.
Yeah, as Mac, because Paramount felt his full name was too hard for kids to pronounce. God forbid we educate the children. The 2024 Academy Award nominees for Best Visual Effects include Takashi Yamazaki's Godzilla Minus One and James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
The Best Animated Feature nominee is Joaquin Dos Santos' Kemp Powers and Justin K. Thompson's Across the Spider-Verse.
Although Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem was snubbed by this year's Oscars, they were also nominated for loads of other awards.
Barbie is nominated in 8 categories, including Best Picture.
So she'll probably win at least something, yeah.
Yeah, probably tons.
Troy Baker, the only person to voice both Batman and the Joker, is going to be voicing Indiana Jones in an upcoming Indiana Jones Xbox exclusive video game. Save some iconic roles for the rest of us, will you? By the way, the name of that game is Bethesda's Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
Duncan Jones of Warcraft will direct an animated film version of Rogue Trooper. It was recently revived in a serial by Gareth Ennis. The series was created by Gary Finley and Watchmen artist Dave Gibbons.
Producer Stuart Finnegan said the advancements in Epic Games' Unreal Engine 5 and the inclusion of metahuman rigs mean that it is now possible to achieve a very high standard of animation within an indie budget. Working with our amazing partners at Rebellion, Epic and Treehouse Digital, we are pioneering and developing a new creative pipeline that will enable independent production of CG animated films like Rogue Trooper. The film will follow the New Earth exploits of Rogue, played by Anoran Bernard of Dunkirk, who's a genetic infantryman and the sole survivor of a massacre that wiped out 3 of his comrades. Their minds live on, if you will, in the biochips he has mounted on the equipment. Together, they search for the traitor general who betrayed their cause.
In the meantime, newcomers and fans can brush up or just learn about the series with the conveniently compiled collection of the earliest comic strip adventures that Rebellion will release sometime this March called Essential Rogue Trooper Genetic Infantrymen, or pick up the remaster Rebellion released in 2017, Rogue Master Redo.
For anyone who might have missed it over the holidays, in 2023, Teon developed and Nacon released 2 versions of RoboCop Rogue City, the Standard Edition and the Alex Murphy Edition, with a higher price tag. It includes some cosmetic add-ons and early access. The game is a one-player first-person shooter adventure with some light role-playing. Rogue City was directed by Pior Latocha, who also directed the video games Rambo and Terminator Resistance, the Complete Edition, which includes the base game, the Annihilation DLC, and Infiltrator mode.
Peter Weller of Buckaroo Banzai and Rabbit Hole reprised his role of Alex Robocop Murphy. It dovetails between the timelines of the second and third Robocop films. You play as Alex Robocop Murphy. The playstyle you opt for, peaceful or aggressive, affects the outcome of the game, leading to 3 different possible endings. If you're a fan of the franchise, you can feel the nostalgic love the developers had for its original source material. They use the same soundtrack and many of the same set locations from the films.
Though it's not open world, you can explore your surroundings a little bit. You get to tool around a cyberpunk-esque old Detroit, conducting investigations, giving out parking tickets, and clearing it of criminals. The devs are still putting patches out for the game and have added a new game plus. George Carlin's estate is suing over the AI-generated new quote-unquote new George Carlin stand-up comedy special, I'm Glad I'm Dead. I saw it on YouTube. It was pretty true to his style, but the AI involvement was pretty obvious, in as much as some of the material was just rehashed by a room full of monkeys banging on a keyboard. It was like a band doing an eerily similar sound-along of their big hit. We've read conflicting reports. Will they, won't they? Animated, live action, reboot, relaunch. Either way, Disney Plus is working with James Wan of The Conjuring and Gary Dauberman on some kind of version of Glenn Wiseman's Gargoyles from 1994.
At the time, Gargoyles was lauded for its dark tone, complex character and story arc development, and Shakespearean melodrama.
Based on the original 78 episode television series and both comic book series, the 2006 through 2009 Slave Labor Graphics series, and then Dynamite Entertainment series from 2022 to now. The story is about how the nocturnal gargoyles befriend a human police detective. Together, they protect New York City from supernatural threats.
Dolly Parton's Sand Dollar Productions was an unnamed producer on the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer film, the television series, and the spin-off Angel.
Speaking of Buffy, Zendaya could be the new Slayer for the Disney reboot. I'm sure the internet will be fine with that.
If the Slayer herself, Sarah Michelle Gellar, is, the internet should be too. I gotta say though, it completely tracks that Disney would go with Zendaya. For some reason, I'm picturing Casey undercover Slayer.
Speaking of vampires, you'll be happy about this, Kit. You've wanted this sequel ever since they rolled credits on the first one. Francis Lawrence is supposedly finally directing Constantine 2.
Oh, yes, I have been waiting with bated fangirl breath. Tell me more.
Keanu Reeves and Peter Stormare will reprise their respective roles of John Constantine and Lucifer. Stormare was also in Longmire, American Gods, and voice acted in the video game series Elder Scrolls, Destiny, and Mercenary.
Roger Eggers is also doing a remake of Nosferatu.
Unsurprisingly, Bill Skarsgård landed yet another villain role. He'll be playing Dracula.
I hope it's not another dumpster fire like Chris McKay's 2023 Renfield. I can understand wanting to blame the writers or the actors, but they've all done other films that were decent. I'll be satisfied if it's at least as good as E. Elias Mirhedge's 2000's Shadow of the Vampire. Willem Dafoe is as creep-tastic as he is funny as Max Shrek.
Attention Olicity shippers! Arrow's Emily Bett Rickards and Stephen Amell reunite in the new Western drama Calamity Jane. Check your local theaters for showtimes or check streaming in about 2 days. Sheriff Mason, played by Tim Rosen of Winona Earp, and Surreal Estate tries to recapture the fugitive Calamity Jane, who busted out of prison to avenge the death of Wild Bill.
Thank you, Star Wars and Star Trek aficionado Kevin Smith and Netflix for going where no man has gone before.
Kevin Smith has the power! He did it! He actually got Captain Kirk and Luke Skywalker to share a scene together! Juggernaut's Mark Hamill and William Shatner voiced Skeletor and Keldor respectively in Kevin Smith's Masters of the Universe Revolutions, now streaming on Netflix. Revolutions picks up where the 2021 series Masters of the Universe Revelations left off, and Revelations explored an unresolved storyline from the 1983 130 episode original Filmation series.
Needless to say, both series are packed with other high-profile actors as well. In Revelations, Tila joins forces with other Masters to save Eternia from the forces of evil.
I thought Revelations was a good show, but maybe not a good He-Man show. The animation's decent, the violence and emotion was upped significantly from the 80s version, for better or worse. There's lots of action, and you can feel the Kevin Smith post-heart attack thoughts on life and death in this. Chances are, if you never saw He-Man as a kid, you might be pleasantly surprised by this series. If you grew up with He-Man and She-Ra, you might be a little salty. The Kevin Smith adjacent Wrong Reasons is now streaming on Tubi TV and available on Blu-ray. It's directed by Smith cohort Josh Roush and stars Liv Roush and Hollywood Babylon co-host Ralph Garman. A masked man kidnaps a drug-addicted punk singer, triggering a media circus and a police investigation. As of February 13th, you can also watch Mark Bernardin's 18-minute short film directorial debut Splinter. It stars Yetide Badaki, my apologies if I'm mispronouncing that, Brooks Firestone, and Tiffany Smith. It's free online. It's about a guy who flies into a fit of rage anytime he's on terra firma. So he does his best to always be in an airplane in the sky. Until the unthinkable happens, a collision mid-flight causes his plane to ground and his security guard has to keep him in check.
Mr. Wheelie is played by one of my guilty pleasures, Todd Stashwick, from the series 12 Monkeys and Star Trek Picard. Kevin Smith dropped the 2021 Masters of the Universe Revelation series in 2 batches of 5 episodes at a time, but this time, Revolutions is tourniqueted with only 5 episodes. I hope they wrap it up real tidy like for the mere 5 episodes we get.
If you want to tell Kevin Smith what you thought of his He-Man series in person, you can. In Chicago, Illinois, from October 11th to the 13th. Kevin Smith and View Askew are bringing the fictional Chronic Con from Jay and Silent Bob reboot to life. Tickets start at $20. The real, actual convention will celebrate the 30th anniversary of Clerks, the 10-year anniversary of Tusk, and all things Jay and Silent Bob. 3-day convention will feature guest panels from the movies and vendors with comics, toys, and other pop culture items. Another series to look forward to is Ironheart. Dominique Thorne is Riri Williams, who invents the most advanced suit of armor since Iron Man. It'll also have some other character actors you're fond of, Kit. Manny Montana from Rosewood.
Oh, he was so great in Good Girls, too. Mostly because there was more of him, literally and figuratively.
It's also got Paul Calderon. I know you're fond of his work in that TV show Bosch, but I remember him from Sylvester Stallone's ensemble movie Copland.
I probably should have gushed over Titus Welliver and how good Bosch was for my February love stuff. It's a really great program. He's this homicide cop, juggling his work and his personal life, but back to Paul Calderon. I've never seen him give a poor performance. He was terrific in Boardwalk Empire. I'm planning to, but I still haven't seen Justified City Primeval, but I'm looking forward to seeing him in it.
Since 20th Century Fox helped produce it, we know the miniseries will probably air on Fox.
I'm a big fan of Dragon General. I noticed that Jaren Morel's stage name Shea Coulee will be in at least one episode. If Ironheart gets picked up for another season, I hope she gets a recurring role. But wait, Marvel's not done distracting you from Madam Web's reviews yet. We're also getting X-Men 97 in March on Disney Plus, Daredevil Born Again, Captain America Brave New World featuring Sam Wilson on February 14th, 2025, and Avengers Secret Wars on May 7th in 2027.
Sometime in 2025, Jake Schreier's Thunderbolts will hit theaters too. The government's recruited a group of supervillains to carry out missions. What are they, some kind of suicide squad? I kid, the cast for this one's actually loaded. Louis Pullman as Robert Reynolds, Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross, Julia Louise-Dreyfus of Seinfeld and Veep is in it, Sebastian Stan returning as Bucky Barnes, Florence Pugh of Dune Part 2 and voice work in The Boy and the Heron is Yelena Belova, Wyatt Russell of Night Swim, and Monarch Legacy of Monsters is John Walker, Red Guardian is David Harbour of Stranger Things, and he coincidentally was also in Quantum of Solace with Olga Kurilenko, who happens to be Taskmaster, Hannah John Kamen of Killjoys, and the voice work in Dark Crystal Age of Resistance is Ghost. Now, how do they all connect to Kevin Bacon?
Speaking about how I heart Don Fear, Yam Demange directed the new Blade movie.
You would know the name of a human vampire hybrid.
It's 2024, Donnie. Sometimes kids know crypto and xenobiology. I think the main clue was my saying I heart after all.
Well, on November 7th, 2025, we'll allegedly finally see Mahershala Ali as Blade. Though we're sad they wouldn't let Wesley Snipes reprise the role, we're not displeased they went with Mahershala. I liked him in Sorry to Bother You and the other stuff I've seen him in so far.
I'll be miffed if they can't get Chris Christopherson to be Whistler for it. I know he might not, considering he pretty much retired during COVID.
Maybe he only retired from touring, but not acting.
True. I guess they could use clips from the previous films and work Mahershala into the scenes.
Delroy Lindos is in the movie. Maybe Chris will do a cameo, passing the proverbial torch to him.
I wouldn't be disappointed with that scenario. Or for a situation like this, especially if Chris gave his blessing, it would be perfect fit for AI. I really hope they do a Blade video game tie-in where they'd work in some origin story into the game via flashback or a pre-game snippet title screen, him older doing his thing, and eventually, like Game 3, they work in his daughter, Brielle.
Actually, they are doing a Blade video game, but it's only for Xbox.
But I don't have an Xbox.
Wah wah. And on that depressing note, that'll do it for us this week. Tune in next time and take another bite of the Geek Lair.